Hey guys, welcome back. This is History of Futurama Season 4, episode, episode 4 of my show, but this is about which is also going to be about episode 4. Now, episode 4 in the, fourth season of Futurama is known as Love and Rocket. Now, as the name of the episode states, it kind of had to do with Valentine's Day and stuff like that. I just wanted to mention that part of it since I brought it up. Anyway, basically, the way this episode basically first starts off, and there's 12 episodes in season 4, so now that we're on episode 4, that means 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We got about 9 more. Let's see. We got about 9 more videos left for season 4, so I just wanted to get that out of the way before I continued. Anyway, the way this episode first starts off is the Planet Express crew is getting back from a delivery, and basically while they're getting back from the delivery, Bender and the robotic version of the ship that has a male voice for this segment of the episode are getting into an argument about art, basically. Oh my god, I'm sorry, but that's kind of hilarious. Anyway, they're getting into an argument over art, and then basically Bender mentions, would you censor the Venus because basically, the Planet Express ship tells Bender that why should he pay for art that he finds offensive, and then basically Bender mentions, and now I'm just gonna quote this because it also is actually referenced in one of the cards for the blob characters that you can collect in the Futurama Game of Thrones app that I used to have on my iPad. Bender, after showing the picture, said that, would you censor the Venus to Venus just because you could see her spewers? And then basically, Leela basically comes between them and tells them to stop arguing, or she's gonna come over there and settle the situation herself. And then basically, they manage to basically get back to Earth. And then basically after they get back to Earth, what happens is the professor mentions that they are going to be making a new delivery, but first they have to look presentable to get the contract from their new customer, Romanticorp, which is basically, as its name basically states, it's a romance company, basically. And anyway, basically the professor gives them new uniforms, and then they go to meet the people at Romanticorp. Now, in this episode, the people that run Romanticorp are also sort of married. In the episode, it's kind of, I don't know. Anyway, basically when they go to meet the people at the company, the professor mentions to them that they've got to show them that they're not downtrodden, out of luck people who've given up love and finding love in this time frame. And then basically after that he tells Leela that she'll have to do some acting. Oh my god. And then they get introduced to the people that run the company, and after taking a tour and stuff, and they see these little, little plush, Care Bears, sort of thing, but they're actually, these lovable heart-based bears and stuff, and then basically when Amy hears about that, she mentions that is the rumor true that they fill them with love and care and stuff, and then the female owner of the company says that it's not, and then the male one explains that it's much cheaper to actually reverse the genetically engineer them and stuff. So basically, what they do is they have these live genetically altered bears, basically, that they keep inside the building. Oh, I'm just gonna explain about that because that's funny. Because what happens is they keep the bears that they have grown inside the building for until they're like a year old, and after they turn a year old, what happens is they then choose the cuddliest of them and fill them with fire retardant and love, and then basically what happens after that is basically they're witnessing one of the bears running and stuff. After Leela says that that's sweet, and then the professor zaps her, and then she tries to act sweet about it and says it again, and then what happens after that is the professor manages to, and the security guard that's chasing the bear that's running shoots a shotgun basically and shoots the candy hearts. Oh my god. And then basically what happens is as the bear runs by the rest of the Planet Express crew, and but before he gets past the professor zaps him with the same device that he was zapping Leela with for a while. Oh my god. And then he's asking them, do they get the contract? And so they actually do. And then basically what happens is the professor tells them because of that big new Romanticorp contract, he's finally been able to get those government mandated upgrades that they've been suing him about. And then basically Leela says that he filled up the holes in the dark matter containment unit, and then basically Fry mentions that he also got a cage for the lion, and then this lion's clock comes swiping down at him, and then basically Bender goes to where the ship is, like the ship's AI, where the ship's AI is to turn on the radio, and then this college rock music starts playing, and Bender gets annoyed like that because he's like, well, first he's like, hey, who's been messing with the radio? This isn't classic rock, it's college rock. And then basically the professor mentions that it must be part of the new ship system he installed, and then the Planet Express ship basically says that he likes it, and then Bender gets annoyed with the ship about that. He's like, listen, ship, nobody changes my station. I hope you know a good mechanic. But right as he's about to do that, the professor mentions that the ship's upgrade also has it come with an adjustable voice. Oh my god, if it comes with an adjustable voice. Oh my god, I'm sorry. But I just gotta laugh because that part's so funny. And then the reason why I say that's funny is because what happens at the beginning segment of it, the ship's voice starts talking in a male voice, and he's like, the ship, we each get a say of what the played on the stations, and then as he's about to finish the rest of it, his voice changes from a male voice to a female voice, and then in the female voice she says, remember Bender, and then basically she starts laughing, and then Bender laughs along with her a little, and then she mentions that if he doesn't like the stations, they can just change them until they find something that they both like. And then basically Bender gets sort of romantically involved with the ship basically because of that. And then afterwards what happens is uh, basically what happens is after that, Bender, after the ship gets embarrassed by what she said about changing the stations, Bender says it's too late for her to say it because she's already said it, and then he says, so what it would be, my place or you? And then basically, the Planet Express crew after that, Leela, Bender, and Fry go on another delivery, which isn't exactly, I don't think it's connected to the Candy Hearts one, but they're going on another delivery and stuff. And while they're going on the delivery, the ship starts acting a little weird. And the reason why the ship's acting weird on this delivery is because Bender and the Planet Express ship are basically fooling around kind of thing. Because the Planet Express ship has its panel open, and then Bender is pushing its buttons, and then he's making the coochie coo, like tickling sounds, and then the ship's mentioning, stop, you're making a microtrajectory, and he said that he knows, she knows she likes it, and then basically, that's when Fry and Leela come and see, and then basically, when Leela sees that first, she's like, Planet Express ship, cover your shame, and then basically the Planet Express ship mentions, basically the Planet Express ship mentions, that it's not what it looks like. Bender was just helping her tighten some screws and stuff, and then Fry mentioned that, wow, Bender, you and the ship an item? I mean, and then he's like, and then he mentions that he knows they're items, but how can he date a ship anyway? And then after he makes this monologue about, it's about him dating something else, and then Bender basically explains that in order for you to get well, you need to go with this hard booty, which is basically in this case the ship, and then basically Leela gets annoyed with him and tries to tell him about the regulations because she's like, Bender, dating your co-worker and primary mode of transportation is irrational, immoral, and a violation of Interstellar Shipping Statute 327-B. 3227-B. And then after she mentions about the violation thing, Bender says that that's what makes it so naughty. Oh my god. I'm sorry. I just kind of have to laugh about that because it's a little hilarious. Anyway, then Leela mentions that still, given the chance, she would have did something similar for much less of the circumstances, and then basically in the next scene it does this basically a little bit of a love montage between Bender and the ship, and then basically during the montage Bender is singing that song about a bicycle food for two kind of thing, and then but after the montage he mentions that he goes to the others and tells them like, well, I'm sick of her, and then basically Fry mentions that the ship, but they just started dating, and then basically Bender mentions that, oh, speaking of Fry, I'm just gonna backtrack here for a second. Back when they were at the company with the hearts, he was looking at the candy hearts and stuff, and he realized that the letters that U and R came from words like U and R, and then basically the plot line for Fry of this episode is basically him trying to find the right words to say to Leela that shows that he loves her and stuff. Sort of similar to how back in the previous season I did when he wrote that love letter for Leela by moving the chronotons in the space-time and stuff after the Globetrotters left before it got blown up. Anyway, I just wanted to get that out of the way since I mention it, and since it's also gonna play a small part in what's gonna happen with Fry and the ironic ending between them. And then, basically, the professor basically gives the Planet Express crew a delivery mission to the planet Omicron per CIA to deliver the 10,000 candy hearts, and then basically, when they go to make the delivery, what happens is, they arrive at Lur and Nidna's palace, and while they're doing that, Lur and Nidna are watching an Ancient Earth program, and then Lur's like, "This is Ancient Earth's most ridiculous program. Why doesn't Rob, the largest friend, not simply just eat the other pie?" And then Nidna mentions that perhaps they're saving him for sweets. And then basically one of the lower Omicronians goes to tell their rulers that the Earthlings have brought a peace offering from their pitiful world, and then basically Lur agrees to see what the offering is, because he's like, very well, this is a Joey heavy episode anyway. And then basically, after they come in, basically Leela mentions that they're delivering the candy hearts to them to show that how much Earth loves them a lot, and then basically Lur goes to eat one of the candies, and then he's like, these candies are chalky and unpleasant. And then Nidna mentions like, and what is this emotion you humans call love? And then Lur mentions that, doesn't she mean like love? Because he's like, surely it must be love. And then she's like, but she said it's not love because it's love with an W. And that's when Lur gets annoyed, because he's like, which leads into the one of his actually most really hilarious, iconic lines for his character, for at least from my personal perspective. He's like, this concept of love confuses and infuriates us. Oh my god. And that's actually a line that again gets referenced in the Futurama app that I used to have on my iPad. I just wanted to bring that up since I mentioned it. Anyway, basically they're under attack by the Omicronians because of the whole misunderstanding with the word love, with the Earth W making it love and stuff. And basically Fry tells Leela that, and then when Fry's looking at the screen, he's like, incoming torpedoes! Shield holding at maximum, we are now! And then basically Leela tells the Planet Express to focus on diverting all power to the scram jets. But, and this is where it gets a little harsh on Bender's part, because basically what happens is, Bender takes this moment to basically break up with the Planet Express ship. Oh my god. So it's a bad timing thing on his part. Because then he's telling her that he's breaking up with her while they're getting chased and blasted. Oh my god. Now I bring that up because Fry's going to mention that in the next scene of the episode I'm going to talk about. But basically what happens is Bender tells the Planet Express ship that he likes her and all, but he thinks that they should just stay friends. And then the Planet Express ship gets upset and he's like, no! And then that causes them to start flying at her because she stops. And then basically after that, in the next scene, they get away from the battle, but the ship is badly damaged. But after reading the report, Leela sees that there doesn't seem for the ship to have suffered any permanent damage. And by this point, the ship is crying because of that, because of Bender breaking up with her and stuff. Oh, before I continue, I'm just gonna backtrack here again. When Bender mentioned that he was gonna be dating cheap people on the side in order to, before he could break up with the Planet Express ship for real. He first was at Elzar's place with these two female robots, and then basically after that he was with Lucy Liu at the New York Zoo after talking with the Planet Express ship when she left to make dinner and stuff. And that also leads into what happens with, I just wanted to backtrack to that part because I figured it also sort of connects with this, because it's connected, kind of. It's the follow, it's the two things that lead up to what happens, and with this part anyway. And then basically, she's like, no permanent damage, what about my feelings? And then basically Leela tells her that she has to calm down because she's sure Bender is taking it just as hard as she is, and then, but Bender's not, because he's like singing to himself, saying he's great, like Bender is great, Bender, and then basically, Fry gets annoyed with Bender and tells him that basically, he gets annoyed with Bender and says, you could have picked a better time to break up with the ship, Bender. Which, in this case, I kind of have to, in my personal opinion, in this case, I know it's not the storyline of the episode and everything, but I kind of have to agree with Fry in this case. Because Bender chose right when they were in the middle of a battle and trying to escape from the Omicronians to break up with the ship. Which is why the ship got so damaged afterwards, physically. Externally and internally. And by externally, I mean the outside of the ship got hurt and the inside of the ship got hurt because the ship's AI was broken because of Bender breaking up with him. And then, but Bender said that the moment seemed right, and he's like, call me old-fashioned, but I'd like the dump to be as memorable as it is devastating. And then basically, after that, what happens is Leela basically is still trying to comfort the ship, and then she comforts her by mentioning that if there's anything she learned from her mutual breakup with Sean that was mutual, that happiness can only come from within her, and then that's when the ship mentions that Bender is within her, and there must be some way to make him love her again. And then after Leela mentions that, this is the part actually where the ship's AI actually goes crazy at this point, because Leela tells her that she can't change man any more than she can change the laws of time and space. And then the ship's like, that is so true. And then she takes control of the ship and drives it straight toward a cosmic anomaly known as a quasar. And because she said that she may not be able to change the laws of time and space, but she knows what can, which is why she's driving the ship into the quasar. But what you see is that she tries to get the ship to move away a few parsecs away from the quasar, and then basically what happens is after that, she says that she can't do that, and then basically Bender and Fry come in and they're wondering what's happening, and then Leela mentions that the ship's just taking the breakup a little hard. She's nuts! And then basically the ship explains that in a few seconds, the million stars, the force of a million stars will cause Bender and her to get into a quantum singularity, and then Bender starts to get afraid about that and decides to tell her that he does actually love her, although he did break up with her, but he's saying it to basically prevent them from getting crushed by the quasar. Oh my god. but then the ship's like, said that she doesn't believe him because if he really loved her, then he would merge his programming with hers, and then basically Bender gets a little defensive about that. He's like, whoa, slow down. All my friends said after that happened, all the romance went out of their relationships. Basically, what it means is merging their programming, making them one, basically. And then Leela tries to get the ship to stop what she's doing with the quasar, but then the ship said that Bender and her really need to be alone. So basically, because of what she said, she turns off the oxygen. And then basically, because of that, Leela goes to shut off the ship's brain, and then because basically, but then the ship stops her, and she's like, and she uses the fire hose to stop her, basically, and because she's like, fire detected in the vicinity of Leela, and then after that, basically, Fry says that barely hurt Leela at all, and then basically, the ship's like, maybe not, but what if the artificial gravity were to malfunction? Basically, she turns the artificial gravity up, which makes them float into the air, and float to the top of the ship, and they get away from the ship, and they end up in the shower, and because basically the shower is the one place where the ship can't hear them, so they come up with this plan. Basically because Leela tells the others to basically pretend to shower, and then Fry's like, same as every day, got it, and then they make up this plan, but the ship can't hear what the plan is, because she can't hear them because of the shower thing, and they're in the shower and she can't also read lips, so it's a 2-for-1 reason why she can't understand what they're saying, and she gets annoyed with that, and then basically Leela's like telling Bender comprende, which is does he understand, and then basically he says that he has to distract the ship, merge his programming with hers while she shuts down her brain. But then Bender starts to get a little worried about that plan because he's like, it's too risky. I'm a very unique individual. If her personality engulfs mine, the Bender you know and worship could be gone forever. And then Leela says that she'll take that chance if it means, and then basically after that, Bender goes back to where the Planet Express ship is, and then he tells her that, contrary to what he was saying earlier, melding minds with her would be extremely terrible, and the ship is wondering if he means it, and he says yes, and then they do melt the minds, and then basically what happens is when Bender sees that she's got these light bulbs, like, he's like, tubes, you are older than you said you were, and then the ship's telling Bender that they to come closer because they can become one, and then but Bender says in a joking way that they don't want to. In a joking way, he says that he doesn't want to become one because he's like, actually his precise words are, I prefer two. That way we could still be a horse for Halloween. Oh my God. I'm sorry. Because in order for a person or something to be a horse for Halloween, there has to be two people instead of costumes in order to make it work. Anyway, oh my God, I'm sorry, but I gotta laugh about that. And then Bender starts running from the ship, and then on the inside, and Leela takes this as an opportunity to shut the ship down by deactivating her carbonated logic matrix, which is basically a matrix that is basically caused by opening soda cans, devices that look like soda cans, and popping them, sort of like how when you open a can of soda with the tab on it and stuff. And then after she starts opening a couple of them, she's like, ugh, I can't concentrate with this annoying candy in my face. So basically Fry uses that as an opportunity to get rid of the candy, as well as as well as a 2-for-1 thing, because he can eat the candy so that Leela can focus on shutting down the Matrix, the ship's carbonated logic matrix, and he can find the words to say his expression for Leela, how he feels, and so it's basically, in his case, it's a 2-for-1 thing. Anyway, basically, Leela manages to shut down half of the ship, Jig Matrix by deactivating her carbonated logic matrix, and then she's saying that she's halfway there and that the ship should be getting a bit less rational now, and then basically Bender on the inside is running from the Planet Express ship, and the Planet Express ship is like, me, talking like a vampire, she's like, me want engulf Bender! And then basically, after Leela opens another one, she realizes that she's won for admission to Six Flags, and that's another reason why they have to survive this. And then, as Fry's eating the rest of the candies to keep so that Leela can focus, he sees that Leela's running out of oxygen. Oh my god! So he basically, oh my god! So he basically tries to tell her that she's running out of oxygen, but she can't. But she ignores him, not because she thinks that he's asking her to help him eat the candy, but she said that she can't. She'll help him eat the candy later when she's dead, when they're not dead. And then basically, Fry basically gives her his oxygen, and then basically, she's wondering what that noise was, and then Fry says, "Oh, nothing," because he basically gives her his oxygen in order for her to stay alive, which ironically leads to him actually giving her the actual correct words to say from Leela at the end. I just wanted to get that out of the way. And then basically what happens is Bender runs into an electrified wall, like not an electrified wall, but a programmable wall kind of thing, and then basically the ship is saying that they're gonna beat each other, and she calls Bender the Ion, and then basically what happens is basically his personality does get absorbed, but at the same time Leela does manage to shut the ship's brain down. But then after she sees that Fry gave her his oxygen in order to survive, she tries to revive him, and that's...
Sorry to interrupt your Futurama.
Sorry. That's fine.
Video here. I'm just gonna...
Yeah, that's fine. I'm almost done it anyway.
Sure.
Just 1 second, guys.
There you go, Pierce.
Okay, there we go. Okay, mineral oil next.
I'll just let you do your video.
Okay, and then basically, after Leela sees that Fry gave her his oxygen, she basically tries to revive him, which basically leads to what happens with him finding the correct words to say to her, which is basically, "You leave me breathless." And then basically what happens is she tells Fry Happy Valentine's Day, and then Fry out of bed says the same thing, and then basically they go back to Bender, and then basically Bender's like, "Oh, what kind of crazy thing will I do next?" And then basically Leela mentions, and Fry mentions that they're glad he's okay, and then Leela mentions that it's good that he's at least seemed to keep his personality separate from the Planet Express ship. And then Bender says in his own words first, "Of course, Bender is a lone wolf, a solitary eagle." And then he says in the Planet Express ship's voice, because he actually failed to stop their personalities from merging and her personality from engulfing his. He's like, a cuddly baby diaper. And that's why I love him. And then basically, Fry mentions that they gotta do something about these candy hearts. And then basically, he thinks that they have to eat them. And then Leela mentions that she has a lazier idea, which basically in this case, they dump the candy hearts into the same quasar that the ship forced them into to try to squeeze them. And then basically this episode sort of ends with Zoidberg monologuing and mentioning about what happened when the candy hearts were poured into the quasar. What happened was the colors from the quasar were so red that it caused a bunch of planets in the universe to be wiped out, including 2 gangster worlds and a cowboy universe. And then basically he mentioned that one planet was safe distance away from the rays to not be affected by them, but being transferred by their loving glow, which was Earth. And then basically after that he said that all would have been very good if only it had been Valentine's Day. And then he finds out that it wasn't, and he's like, what? It was? Hooray! And then that's basically where this episode stops. Oh, because, well, first he mentions about the whole couples around the Earth, like, you know, Amy, Kif, and Fry, Leela, and some of the mutant couples and stuff. And that's when he mentions about if everything would have been better if only it had been Valentine's Day. And that's when he finds out that it wasn't. He's like, what? It was? Hooray! And that's basically where this episode stops. So if you guys like this video when I post it, I'll probably try to post it tomorrow. But until tomorrow, guys, just please give this video the real best you guys can, and I will see you guys next time for the next video. But until then, like I always tell you with the series, fun on a bun.